Hi everyone and welcome to part 2 of the Pink Panther tutorial. While my top tier patrons roll by, let me give you a quick recap of what we saw up until now. Part 1 covered both the intro and the verse, and in part 2 we will be taking a look at the chorus, which is rather short, as well as the second verse with one technique and one section in particular, and then the first double time lick that will transition you into the double time section. The double time section will be something for part 3, which will be published next week, but in the meantime you can get to work with what is in this video. Now let's dive straight into the chorus. So let me play the chorus for you one time. Straight into the next verse. Now, this part is meant to be a bit rowdy, a bit loose, lots of, even in Tommy's recording, lots of rambling strings, string noise. This is just really a big build-up before taking the song really back down in terms of volume, back to that intro with the percussive part. You're using two chords, an E minor chord and a C chord, a C dominant ninth chord. Tommy often plays this with the G in the bass as well. Again, he uses the middle finger to fret those two strings, the low E string and the A string at the same time, giving you a really full sounding chord. If this is too difficult, then you could go for either one of them. So just playing the root on the A string, 3rd fret, sounds fine. Playing the 5th interval of the chord on the 3rd fret of the low E string gives it a fuller sound as well. So you could just as well play only that low G note or only that low C note. See what you think sounds best. Just full disclosure, I often play that C dominant ninth chord with a bar across 3 strings as well, making sure that that high E note doesn't necessarily ring out all the time, but this can make it a bit easier for you as well. I showed it now to you as Tommy plays it. I used this fingering when I played my teaser video, and nobody gave me any complaints that this wasn't right. It's just, it adds an extra note on top, but I find the fingering a lot easier. We're ending that first open lick on an E minor chord, keeping down the index finger and the middle finger, and Tommy uses his thumb to initiate a walking bass line. If this feels difficult for you, so he plays open E string, 2nd fret with the thumb, 3rd fret with the ring finger, and then moving to the index finger on the A string, which is already there. If that thumb over the side of the neck is difficult, then just use the index finger for an instant. And make sure it's back where it should be once you play that final chord. In between those chords, so all of those, in between those bass notes, sorry, all of those bass notes are downstrokes, and in between he plays very lightly some open strings. So only the bass notes are down, 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 down. Chords in between, down, 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 down. So each chord in between those bass notes is a soft upstroke. So down, 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 down. Really softly each time that upstroke. It's not meant to be a full-on chord, it's just meant to push the rhythm forward just a little bit more. You are going to have to do this a lot more in the second part of the song as well. So down, walking bass line going up, and then that last upstroke is already a C chord. So sorry, so down, 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 down. And instead of playing that last chord as an upstroke, Tommy really accentuates this and plays it with a downstroke. Down, 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 down. Again, a downstroke, and that chord has to sound out really full. Even adds in only the very first time, so if this is difficult then you can leave it out. First time he drops down a little bar and plays a little hammer on with the pinky as well. 3, 4. And he mostly uses downstrokes in this section. 3, 4. So So just only that hammer-on is left open and everything else is downstrokes. 3, 4. And that bass line is played in between each chord, all downstrokes, C with the middle finger, 3rd fret on the A string, pull off to the 2nd fret, open A string, back to the 3rd fret on the low E string. And to an open E string and you're back into the first E minor chord. And from there on it's only switching around. So from E minor to C dominant ninth with the G in the bass or not, back to E minor, back to C dominant ninth. Those first 2 bars. Play an E minor chord. Back to the same C minor. So this bar is just down, strum across all strings, and to the next chord again, all using downstrokes. Down, 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 down. Really to push the rhythm forward, to give a lot of drama into those chords. Exact same thing as we played the first time without the hammer-on in between. So the first time. Second time. No hammer-on. And back to one of those moody E minor 13 chords. And straight back into the intro lick. Now as you can see, that last part is cut short just slightly, so you're ending up and straight back into the opening lick. Now that was the full chorus. Let me play it one time for you really slowly and then on to the next part. But from here on, it's just one of the few times there is a little repetition coming up. One more time, the chorus. Straight back into the intro, and this time it's just a plain repetition. Straight back into the verse. So only one time this time. Tommy does use a few different percussive tricks. If you want to get those each and every variation by itself, then you'll have to check out the original recording. I'm sticking mostly just to the snare and the bass drum sound because of all the scraping and general destruction of your guitar. On to the next verse, one time. Straight into the double time section. This one is a little bit shorter, but there's a lot going on. From the top. We know that. And a quick trill, so moving from the 7th fret up with the index finger to the 8th fret, and then just hammer-ons and pull-offs to the 10th fret. Make sure you end back up on the 8th fret as a melody note. Don't really count out how much hammer-ons and pull-offs they're going on. It's more of a feel thing. Two triplets in this time, so take or have some special attention for the rhythm in this part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, going to the C note. This time we're switching it around. We're starting on an E dominant 7th chord, moving up only afterwards the ring finger to the dominant sus4 sound. So going from full dominant, then moving up the middle finger to that dominant 7th sound. If this feels strange, because moving the wrist might mess with the rest of the chord, you could swap those fingers around to get this. That might be easier, but maybe by this time you're used to moving up that middle finger. Then a little slide, just a double stop, and Tommy slides down really quickly. A little bending arpeggio lick in C dominant, so bending up pinky 10th fret on the high E string, bending up the ring finger 10th fret on the B string, just a little blues curl to the B flat on the 11th fret, and then 8th fret, 10th fret, dropping down 2 frets, and then going to the 8th fret and the 9th fret, which is basically a move in thirds that all works around the C dominant chord. I'm using plectrum and fingers now. Full speed, I'm playing it with the plectrum as well. All downstrokes. 3, 4. And then a big slide with the thumb coming from the 1st fret to the 7th fret, and then letting go for an open E string. Now, before we head into that section, because that's something completely altogether, those first few bars back to back. As you notice, if I recall correctly, Tommy also drops the swing rhythm just for a second to play that little melody in thirds. 3, 4, pa, pa, just straight down. 1 and 2, and not 1 and 2. So keeping the tempo straight there. 3, 4. Then moving to that open E string. Now we're heading again for an E minor chord on the 7th fret with a special technique. Tommy is playing a melody. I'm going to leave out the percussive part first. This is what he's doing. Doesn't seem that hard. So open bass string, then plectrum and fingers, or only plectrum if you want to the chord, and pulling all fingers, all pull-offs to the 7th, to the bar at the 7th fret. So each time a pull-off, bass note, and then the same melody. Bass note, pull-off, bass note, bass note, and then the last time it's back to the chord and no bass note underneath. That's the first part. 3, 4. Now for the special part. Each time when you perform that pull-off, Tommy plays a percussive click, for lack of a better word, on the bass string. So that takes some getting used to. So it's open bass string, pull off, and as you pull off, I use the plectrum, heavily muting the bass string, getting a clicking sound only on the bass string. It has to line up perfectly with the pull off. That's the basic idea. So as you perform the pull-off, that click down below, right behind that percussive click, another open bass string, and you're doing the exact same thing. And and only that last time. It's only a click, no bass note after that. It's a tricky technique. It's really, really clever. So you're letting the left hand do the melodic work while the right hand is taking care of all the rhythm, but it takes some time before you really get used to this. It also doesn't really sound right if you do it slow. It only starts blending once you speed up the tempo just a little bit. So, and it's really, it's a little trick. One more time, really, really slowly. And then you're going to have to do the same thing over the next chord, but using slides instead of hammer-ons and pull-offs. Then doing the same thing, 2 open E strings, thumb over the side of the neck, sliding to the 8th fret, adding in a C dominant chord. So index finger, middle finger, ring finger. We played this chord before in the very, very first verse, remember? To make sure we could get that melody note, we could keep that ringing out. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, but with sliding down. So you're keeping the thumb on the 8th fret and you're going to slide this triad down 1 fret. The rhythm, the technique, adding in the percussive part is the exact same thing as over the E minor chord, but the thumb over the side of the neck will cause some problems for some people, and it is not possible to swap out the thumb for anything else at this point. So it has to be played in this way, without the percussive clicks. Same rhythm, only 1 chord extra all the way at the end, but everything else is the same. What you could do if the thumb over the side of the neck is giving you trouble is, for instance, leave out the index finger and play it. Doesn't sound the same, but if your hands are small and the thumb over the side of the neck is giving you trouble, then just leaving out 1 finger, the index finger, will make the stretch for the thumb to get on top of the neck a little bit easier. Let me play the same thing now, but with the percussive clicks included again. And the technique is the exact same thing. Every time we slide down, first time it was a pull-off, now it's a slide down, I'm going to add in the click. So now let's have a look at those 2 sections back to back, the E minor section and the C dominant section. Then we're going to close it off with the same blues lick we already saw before. I'm going to take you through the transferring lick going from the first section to the double time section, and then we're going to conclude this part of the tutorial, and the double time section is going to be for next week. Here we go. That lick, that's the same lick we played to end the first verse. Now on to the double time section. That last note is the first note of the double time section. Let's go over that lick so you can get to practice this, and then the rest of the full double time section is going to be something for next week. Starting with the ring finger on the 5th fret, bending up to the 6th fret, releasing the bend, and then it's all pull-offs to open strings. So pull off to the 3rd fret, index finger to an open string, index finger to the B string, 3rd fret again, pulling off to an open string, index finger to the 3rd fret on the G string, sliding down to the 2nd fret, and again pulling off to the open string, index finger 2nd fret on the D string, pulling off to an open string, index finger on the 1st fret on the A string, pulling off to an open string, and then ring finger 3rd fret on the low E string, pulling off to an open string, middle finger 2nd fret on the D string to round out the lick with. So it's all pulling off to open strings. One more time, really slowly. If your hammer-on and pull-off technique is decent and this won't cause too much problems, the only thing to watch out for is that slide down. It's all full eighth notes, so don't make this slide an embellishment. That first note, that third fret, that B flat, carries its entire weight. It's an eighth note just like everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. If you do it correct and you get a full lick spanning 2 bars, only the first note is a quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Ending up on the first beat. That's what you should get. One more time. A bit more up the speed. Really cool lick, but not really that hard to play. And then from there on, it's into the double time section. That's something for next week. One more time, that last verse, really, really slowly, and then you can get to work. Here we go. That's it. There you go. That's the full last verse of the slow section. Get to work on this. I will be back next week with the first part of the double time section, and that is where the real fun starts. Have fun. See you next week. Bye bye.